Okay, so now we're going to pick up and make this screen look a little bit better. So first and foremost, we want to move this this button that basically disappears when we're not signed in, the close button, and we want to come up and make a header bar. The first thing to do, I'm going to show you two different ways to do this, right? So the easiest way is to make a panel up top, right? And just basically come in here and change however you want it to look. You know, as far as the panel itself, you can put it. You can actually come in here and just make it like a little graph. For that matter, you can just come in here and actually make it transparent, and then come in here and make the lines so they kind of show like that. You can do that, and that looks pretty good, right? So let's go back here and let's do this. Let's come down here and shrink that a little bit, and let's add a little, actually, and you can just note too, you can kind of spread these things out to get them lined up a little bit better. I like to get my stuff lined up as the best I possibly can, you know, as far as that goes. And then you can actually come down here and like duplicate this, like copy it, paste it, and then what we can do is we can come in here and like change the size of this and just throw it directly in here, like so, kind of get it spaced a little bit. So it kind of, it's almost like it's several boxes, right? And it is to an extent, but you can also come down and, like, if you wanted to, you could, you know, shape these to fit somewhat better. So what we'll do is we'll come in and lay it just like this, put this in here, and we'll basically do this, have these line up, and then come down and line this up to the very end, line these two up, and make sure again that they are properly aligned. Alignment is very, very, like I said, it's very critical, and it makes it look so much better when it's done properly. And then in here you can put a you can basically put a text box, and then put the text of what this is. In our application, this is the main menu, right? So main, our main screen. So we'll just call it main screen, and we can put the font to whatever we want it to, and then basically put it as we want it. Now we can come down here and, you know, put that wherever we want it. What I like to kind of do on this is kind of space it in the center, you know, and basically get it right where I want it. And then, you know, you kind of eyeball it. You can kind of tell where it is, you know, because again, you're dragging the screen back over where it's kind of populated. So in here, you want to add, you can basically add a component. You come in here and you can add, you know, whatever you need. So in this instance, we can have like our, you can have basically alarms, you can have diagnostics, you can have whatever you want as far as that goes. But what we want in this instance is basically numeric. We can have a numeric display, and we can put this in here. And what I wanted, actually, let's not do that. I want something a little bit different. Excuse me, I've got the little weather's getting to me a little bit. So what we can do is, what I'm looking for is an ability to give you the date and time, and I want to do that in such a manner is very easy to do. So what you can do is actually, let's see if we can just do a text, and then have the text insert variable, date and time, and then put that there. So you can have that there, just like so. Or you can change this too. You can, so if you don't like this, and if you didn't see how I did that, right? Okay, so let's take that back, and let's actually go to drawing and then text, right? And then I basically just drew a simple text box, and in the text box I went to insert variable. Now insert variable, I picked the date and time, right? The date and time, you can choose the different dates and times you want. You can choose to have the actual day, January 2nd. Obviously that's when I'm making this. You can have the date like that. You can just have the time. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what you're kind of aiming at. In our instance, it doesn't hurt to have the, I would say, let's just go with the time. It's just better that way. Or you can come back here and put the time and then come back and put the date after. Like if you wanted to, or actually let's take that back out. And let's come back in here, insert, and then come back and put the date afterwards, right? So you can do it like that. And then that way it kind of, I mean, it's basically the same thing, but it's in a different order, right? Or you can actually come in and put, stagger the two where they're on top of each other. So let's do that. Let's actually take this back out. And let's put that like this. Come down and put this just like this. And again, you can make this bold, right? So let's copy this. Let's copy this and let's put paste. And let's come down here and let's put this, and let's change this one to the variable of the actual date, right? So then we have these two kind of stacked on top of each other, and that way it gives you the date and time, and it looks a lot better. I mean, it looks, to me, it looks a lot more cleaner. You get the date and the time in the same spot, and they don't have to be, like side by side, and it makes it that much cleaner. And you can always take these and make these, you don't have to have them transparent. You can have them as a solid, and come in here and do back color as, I don't know, white. If you wanted to, you could do something like that, and then have like a border color, like the back color is white, but the border color is, then you could come in and just put the border color like that. We can do the same thing here. Come in and just change the border color, or the back color to white, and then uncheck the box that says border used back color. So uncheck that. And basically, oh, we got to make it a solid again, and then come down and do that. So then you got a nice little header bar that you have right there, and you have the date and time, and then that kind of gives you the way to do that. Now you can run it, and it just, like I said, it looks so much better that way, right? So, and this is the real true date and time, so that's how you actually would insert the date and time. A real easy, cut and dry way to do that, and to make a decent looking header bar. The second thing you can do, in the more, I guess, more user-friendly way, if you're going to make a bunch of screens, is to go down to basically make a global object. Okay, so let's go to here. Let's come down and open up and make a new global object. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the same thing we did here, right? We're going to copy this. Being that we made it, we're just going to copy it, paste it, copy, paste. We're going to copy this, we're going to paste it, and I'm just doing this really easy, really cut and dry, so that we don't waste the time of this video and you're learning to actually give you, exactly what you need. Excuse me. Okay, so and again, I apologize for the but so now we have the same thing in our global object, right? So if we look at this, this is the same exact thing we did right here, except all we got to do now that we have our global object in here is all we have to do is hit save and then title it as system header. Now the one thing I do recommend if you're going to do that in the global objects is you come down and you take this out. So you want to delete this, and the reason is because you don't know what screen you're going to be using, right? So you know, if you're going to do something like this, you can put, you know, like a you can even throw in another little bar. Throw in another little bar right here and just have it like a, you know, whatever the case. I'll put a text back. Let's undo that, and let's come down and add a panel, and let's come down in like a little fine line here, and just make this, you know, whatever color we decide to make it, you know, kind of something to define the properties, you know, just kind of give, you know, like a little indication of this is a separation bar, you know, and just drag it down till, you know, it's there, and then kind of just pop it in there, and it really kind of makes the difference. And again, so we still have, let's get rid of this. We still had our little box in there, so and then you can take the border down to 1 and then just make it that much more clear. And so it starts to look a little bit better. And again, but what you can do is, I'm not sure, yeah, there we go. So it looks really, really good here. And this could be your system, like I said, this could be your system header bar, and you just basically, you know, use that. And then what we can do is, in our new screen, let's just make a new screen real quick. We'll call this, or we'll just make a new screen, right? So we'll change the color of the screen because we use the same color over here. So we'll make sure the color is the same. Now we'll go to our global object, and we'll just basically drag this over here. Actually, let's not save that. Let's group this together. So make sure you group your stuff together on your global object. So we want to group it. So let's pull this all the way over. Let's do this, and let's group this stuff together. And then we'll come down and put that back the way it was. Close this. And you can do this as, I don't think you can drag it on this one, but you drag it over just like this, and it's there for you. So you see how easy that could be. Like, you can make multiple screens and have them just tied in just like this. So we can keep making screens and make sure, now I can make another screen. I can come in and pop this in here just like this, screen properties, and then come in and again choose our, and I think I choose the wrong color. Choose the right color, and then come in and drag this in here again, and then we basically have it in there. So now we have several instances of new screens. So we have the main. Again, we manually put that in there, and then we have this screen. So we can have we can come in here and now even edit this screen and say, okay, well, we want this to be our let's just say machine info. Let's see, machine information. Let's just name it that, and then let's just say so there's that one, and then this one would be the let's just, I don't know, we're just making up names right now, so let's just call this one this one could be the alarm screen, right? So and again, change that, make sure your fonts are the same all the way through. So just, and you want to make sure everything's lined up, right? So make sure everything's lined up properly, and then so yeah, make sure you don't adjust this. You know, if you do, just come back and you know, adjust these down to get them lined up properly. So now we have the alarm, we have the machine information. So when we close this, we're going to save it and call it alarm screen. right? And then we saved it, and now we have alarm screen down here, and this would be machine information. So we'll basically go in and move this over. So we'll call that machine information. We'll get it kind of in the center, and then call this machine information. So now we have that in there, right? So now we have two screens in here. So what we need to do is have a way to call those screens. So there's several ways we can come down and call the screens, and I'll actually show that. So we want to keep moving these buttons around. So what I want to do is you can do the same thing. You can make a couple go-to buttons, like down here. You can have you can come down here and make go-to buttons if you want to, like navigation buttons. Right here in navigation, you can put go to, and this would, you can choose to go to this display. This would be the machine. So we'll put the parameter, we'll put the we'll call this machine info, and basically have that like that. You can easily do that, and just that way it has what it is. Again, you want to change the fonts to match everything, right? So change the fonts to come down and be a representative to what you're doing. Again, that's kind of white, looks a whole lot better in that atmosphere. You can have buttons that, and they can be blue, they can be whatever color you want them to be. Honestly, and blue is not a bad color, right? So in this instance, we'll just leave it as that. Again, we're not going to do any kind of connections because we have the go-to button is going to that display. So that's all we need. And then you basically copy this, because reason I'm copying is because I don't want to keep making them and comparing the same. I want to have the same dimensions all the way through and just basically align the tops of them. And that way I can just come in here and change this to like alarm screen, and then to come in and change the text to alarm, and that would basically be perfect. So at that point they would basically go to each one of these screens, and again, we don't have anything actually done as far as tying this in. So what we can do is we can go to the next two screens, the alarm screen itself that we made, and we have we'll copy this and we'll just paste it over, and then we'll copy this one, and then paste it over as well. And then what we'll do is we'll change this to the main, and then change the label to main, and then that's done. And what I like to do too is either you keep all these in order, but I always like to keep my main in the bottom left. That's just me. But again, I like to keep all these. I always align these to make sure they're good. And that way when I open the next screen, which is machine information. Oh, and I did it again. Let's come in here and let's copy this one. Copy. And just paste it in here. And then that way you can come to here and copy this one and just paste it in here. Right, so now we have an application where we have 3 screens. So now if we test and run this, right, if we do a quick test and run this, we can actually jump through those screens and actually show the screens we made. And again, we made a header bar and we made it a global object, so it's easy to use, it's easy to grab and make it user friendly. When I say user friendly, it's easy for you to program and just quickly add it into a new screen and have it successful. So again, and here we go. So now we're running. This would be the exact process, right? So let's go to this screen. Let's go back to our screen. Let's go to this screen. So that just shows you all the screens that we have in here, right? Now we're on the main and we want to log in again because we want to shut it down. So this is course admin, and we can go in, add the admin. Oh, I spelled it wrong, sorry. Admin. And then have it pop up. And I actually typed that in wrong, sorry. So course admin, and I'm sorry for all the beeping, but that is part of what it does. So admin. Cool. So that's done. And this is very important for you to remember. So all your passwords and everything. So we have a working system. We have 3 screens, right? We have all 3 screens have the same information on them, except for up here we have, you know, this. So we need to put our global object in here, right? So we need to put our global object in here and just grab it and just drop it in here. And then, so we'll close that, and then we'll just come in and copy this, come in and paste, and then change this to main screen. And it's done. So now all of them look identical. They all are just, I mean, they all side by side, they all look identical as far as the top, the side, and the bottom. And now we're starting to get a better uniform type system, right? So our system's starting to, whether or not we agree with the way it looks or whatnot, it's easy to put together. So you can design and just make these things look however you want to as far as global objects, and this, you can really spend some time on making your global objects look, I mean, just really beautiful, and then just copy and paste it everywhere you go, and it just makes things look so much better. I made these really quick, and I made these obviously for the course. I will show you some things that we have done in the past to make things look really well. I'll show you some examples, and then you know, kind of go from there. But again, so far we're getting a working system, and we're starting to throw things together. So again, hopefully that was a good value added course, or value added, not course, but value added video that we just did. Again, it kind of ran a little bit long, but I think the content inside of it was very much worth the you know, how long the video was, because 20 minutes of watching something like this, it can be kind of, you know, I know how it can get, you know, I mean, that's a long time. So I try to keep them low, but again, 20 minutes is not that bad. And always remember, if you feel you need to, go back and watch it 2 or 3 times if you need to. Again, that's up to your discretion and up to you. But it, you know, getting the value out of this course is what the goal should be, right? So we'll go ahead and conclude this video, and we'll go ahead and pick up and make some more videos, and or go through the rest of the videos in this course. Okay, so thank you, and I really do again appreciate your support, appreciate you being part of the course.